I was standing outside Ethan's partner promotion party holding our lemon poppy seed cake. He used to beg me to make it when cramming for finals, and my hands were shaking so bad the frosting smudged. I'd spent an hour decorating it with little sugar devils. Dumb, I know, but he loved that corny shit, and I thought maybe he'd remember why we were together in the first place. Why I'd paid his rent for 3 years, proofread every one of his papers at 2 a.m., even dyed my hair blonde once because he said law firms like professional girls. Then he pulled me into the hallway, his cologne, the one I bought him for his bar exam, making my throat burn, and said, "I'm done. You're a temp who dropped out of community college. How do you expect to keep up with a Harvard law partner?" Before I could blink, he was dragging Lila over, blonde, stick-thin, in a dress costing more than my rent, and introducing her as his future wife. She looked at my cake like it was a rat and said, "Aw, Mia, you still bring homemade stuff? How cute." Ethan laughed. "You'll never be successful without a degree. Face it, you're stuck." My bag fell open when I turned to leave. Out tumbled that signed copy of The Art of Litigation, Justice Eleanor Bennett's book, the one she gave me after I interned for her 6 months. She let me sit in on oral arguments. For God's sake. Lila picked it up, squinted at the signature, to Mia, my brightest student, and texted Ethan right in front of me. I saw his reply. She's probably lying, like she lies about being interested in law. I walked home crying, the cake in my hands turning to mush. 2 weeks later, I lost my temp job because Ethan told the agency I was stalking him. My landlord raised my rent, said Ethan warned him I was unreliable. Then Lila showed up at my coffee shop job, ordered a $10 lavender latte, and purposely spilled it down my front. Oops, she trilled. Forgot uneducated people can't handle fine drinks. My boss yelled at me for ruining a customer's experience. I stood there, coffee dripping down my shirt, watching her snap a selfie with her latte. No, I'm not kidding, and I thought, *enough. I'm so done being their joke, *. Then my phone rang. Justice Bennett's voice, sharp and warm. "The Hale firm's debt is worse than we thought. Your offer's been accepted. You own 51% tomorrow." I stared at the coffee stain on my shirt, took a deep breath, quit right then, told my boss to stick his customer experience up his ass, and went to Target to buy a blazer, black, $40, but it felt like armor. I deleted Ethan's number on the bus ride home. 3 days later, I walked into Hale and Associates pretending to be a client, carrying a folder of fake case files, my heart pounding. Ethan saw me and rolled his eyes. "You? A temp? You think we'd trust you with litigation funding?" I flipped to page 17 of the file, the page where he'd missed a loophole letting the defendant walk, and pointed. "That clause. You didn't catch it because you're too busy bragging about your degree." His dad, Mr. Hale, the firm's founder, was standing in the doorway. He leaned in, squinted at the file, and said, "Ms. Carter, explain that loophole to me." I did. In 2 sentences. He smiled. "We should hire you. Ethan, why didn't you bring her in sooner?" Ethan's face turned beet red. "She's not qualified." Jake, this quiet junior partner who'd always nodded at me when I was a temp, snorted. "She just fixed your biggest case, sounds qualified to me." My phone buzzed. Justice Bennett. I answered it right there, loud enough for Ethan to hear. "Ms. Carter, the purchase papers are ready." He jumped up. "Who was that?" I grinned. "A friend. Don't worry, he's smarter than you too." Mr. Hale followed me out. He stopped at the elevator, looked me in the eye, and said, "I've seen your name on our client list. You're the one funding our big cases, aren't you?" I winked. Guess the temp knows a thing or two. The look on his face? Chef's kiss. The partner meeting was the best day of my life. I walked in with Justice Bennett. She wore a suit making Lila's dress look like a paper bag and dropped a stack of papers on Ethan's desk. "I own 51% of this firm," I said. "Congratulations, you work for me now." Ethan laughed. "You? A temp? You can't afford this." Justice Bennett stepped forward, her voice like a gavel. "Mia Carter is the CEO of Carter Litigation Funding. She's worth $50 million. She's been funding your firm for 2 years. And today, she bought it." Ethan's face went white. He grabbed the papers, scanned them, and started hyperventilating. Jake handed him a glass of water. He knocked it over. Lila ran in. She'd been on a fiancé tour of the firm. Because of course she was, and screamed, "Mia, please, don't do this." I leaned in, close enough for her to smell my perfume, the one I'd stopped wearing when Ethan said it was too cheap. "Remember when you spilled coffee on me? When you laughed at my cake? Now you're my PA. Start tomorrow at 8. Wear something professional, unlike your usual trash." Mr. Hale slumped in his chair. "I should have listened to you when you pointed out Ethan's spending." Jake was grinning at me like I'd just solved world peace. The other partners? They clapped. One guy, old, gray-haired, said, "Finally, someone who knows what they're doing." Ethan tried to beg. "Mia, please. I'll do anything. I'm sorry, I was wrong." I held up the fake receipts I'd found in his desk, embezzling $2 million to pay for his Tesla and Lila's designer bags. Real smart. "Ethan, you're fired. And I'm reporting you to the bar. Good luck explaining this to your dad." He left crying. Lila stayed. She actually showed up the next day, in a plain black blouse and slacks, and said, "I'm sorry. For everything." I gave her a stack of files. "Prove you're not just a rich girl who mocks people. I'll give you a chance." She nodded, tears in her eyes. "Thank you." Now I'm sitting in Ethan's old corner office. His framed Harvard diploma is gone. I replaced it with a photo of Justice Bennett and me, and Jake's across the desk, grinning. "You know," he said, "when you were a temp, I used to watch you proofread Ethan's papers. You always caught the mistakes he missed. I knew you were more than that." I took his hand. "I didn't do this to hurt Ethan," I said. "I did it to prove to myself that I'm enough, degree or not." He squeezed my hand. "You were always enough." He was just too stupid to see it. We went to my old coffee shop after work. The barista, Maggie, who'd let me have free refills when I was broke, yelled, "Mia! Back for your usual?" I grinned. "With a friend." Jake ordered a plain coffee, boring, but cute, and kissed my hand. I looked at him, his messy hair, his laugh lines, and thought, I'm not just the uneducated temp anymore. I'm Mia. CEO. Girlfriend. Finally, myself, Maggie handed me my coffee, black, no sugar, just like I like it, and said, "He's a keeper." Jake winked. I took a sip, the warmth spreading through my chest, and watched the sun set over the skyline. Ethan texted me later that night. "Please. I'm homeless. My dad disowned me. Can you help?" I deleted it. Lila sent me a photo the next week, her holding a stack of organized files, grinning. "First day as PA. Thanks again." I texted back, "Good job. Now get me a coffee, black, no sugar." Jake kissed me outside my apartment that night. It was slow and sweet, and nothing like the rushed makeouts I used to have with Ethan. He said, "You're amazing." I said, "You're an idiot for waiting this long." He laughed. I went to bed that night smiling. You know what's the best part? I don't think about Ethan anymore. Not really. I think about Jake's laugh. About Lila's first successful day as PA. About Justice Bennett sending me a text that says, "Proud of you." Success isn't a degree. It's not a dress or a Tesla or a fancy title. It's waking up and knowing you're enough, exactly as you are. And if someone doesn't see that, fuck 'em. Maggie gave me a free pastry the next morning. Jake met me there. We sat by the window, eating croissants, and watched the world go by. He said, "Want to go to a movie tonight?" I said, "Only if you buy the popcorn." He said, "Deal." I took a bite of my croissant. It was flaky, and buttery, and perfect. Yeah, I'm good. And Ethan? He can keep his Harvard degree. I've got something better. Myself.